Good evening, and welcome to the second debate of the 2011 municipal election season, brought to you by the Kokomo Tribune, Perspective, and feature 8 candidates, or 6, I guess, excuse me, running for a district seat on the Kokomo Common Council. District 2, incumbent Bob Cameron faces Republican challenger Tom Cleaver. In the 5th district, incumbent Republican Cindy Sanders is opposed by Democrat candidate Mike Besser. And in the 6th district, appointed Republican Tom Miklik will seek election over Democrat challenger Jim Main Jr. No races in 3 and 4, and I believe there's an independent candidate in District 1 that he's not here tonight, nor is the incumbent, Mike Wyant. I'm Don Wilson, publisher of The Perspective, and I will be the moderator for tonight's event. The debate is scheduled to last approximately 90 minutes and is being live streamed on the Perspective website, kokomoperspective.com. The event is also being filmed for broadcast on KGov. We would like to thank Kokomo Center Schools for the use of their facility here at Central Middle School in downtown Kokomo. We'd also like to thank the Political Science Club from Indiana University for providing input and some questions for the municipal debates. The format for tonight's debate is as follows. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for an opening statement, and we'll then begin the questioning, with each candidate being given the opportunity to respond first to a question on a rotating basis. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond. All questions for tonight's debate were developed by the editorial staffs of the Kokomo Tribune and the Kokomo Perspective. However, should I feel it, and were delivered to me shortly before the debate started. However, in the rebuttal part, if I should feel necessary to ask a follow-up question to a candidate, which I should have stated sooner, I do have that ability to expand on their responses. 2 minutes, let's begin. Mr. Cameron.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank you for coming tonight to the debate, and also the Kokomo Tribune and the Perspective. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Bob Cameron. I'm running for re-election in the 2nd District. I am a lifelong resident of Kokomo. I retired from Delphi Electronics after plus 46 years. I'm a member of St. Joan of Arc Catholic Church. I am very much a family man, and I have been married to my wonderful wife, Joni, for 39 years this October the 14th. I have one daughter, Nikki. She's here tonight, and son-in-law named Josh, and I have one little grandchild, Sophia, that's a little over 10 months old, and she has me wrapped around her finger. I am honest, straightforward, hardworking, and I'm unafraid. My first priority is to keep the people in Kokomo safe and sound. The safety and welfare of our future, the youth, is something I strive for every day. I work with the youth in the community to keep them off the streets and healthy by working with them in the weight room, as well as many of the athletes and adults throughout the community. I currently chair the Public Safety and Welfare Committee. I'm a member of the Public Works and Welfare Committee, and also a member of the Resolution Committee. I have fought to keep the sidewalks in good shape, as well as get them repaired for our community, and I thank the city for going along with that. I think that's great for the kids in this community. I have been very outspoken in how we spend our budget. I'm easy to contact, and I get the job done. Some of the major accomplishments I've done is help to get rid of the spice and the other additives, the synthetic marijuana off the streets, and thank goodness for the legislature passed that. Worked hard in the budget to get that done. And every call that a citizen has called me, I have answered it and got a resolution for them one way or the other. Thank you.
Tom.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out tonight. I know it's a beautiful evening, and I really appreciate you coming out to hear the issues and the candidates speak. I feel that the voters of Kokomo should be informed to make a reasonable decision when a person asks you to consider them for a vote. My name is Tom Cleaver. I'm a small businessman here in Kokomo, Indiana. I run a second-generation family business that's been in existence since the early 60s. I've also been a martial arts instructor here in Kokomo for over 30 years, donating my time to many of the community centers and the Boy Scouts and things of that nature, the YWCA, the YMCA. And I've always enjoyed giving and helping people move forward. I have 4 children, 2 extremely small children that are in elementary school. So school is very important to me, and the issues facing the future. And our children are our future, and we have to give them the best possible means to become successful. And that's why I'm running. I have the vested interest of a business, and I have the children. And anyone who has children out there and that is a parent understands that the decisions that are made on a daily basis affect the future, more so the future of our children. We have to have a vibrant, responsible, moving forward, proactive government that gives our children opportunities. A community needs to be growth-oriented, and I am a growth-oriented candidate. I want to see Kokomo get jobs. I want to see Kokomo safe. I want to see Kokomo happy. I would say every candidate up here wants to see our citizens safe. You cannot bring industry into a community that is not. Thank you very much.
Cindy Sanders.
Hello, I'm Cindy Sanders, and I'm running for re-election for 5th District. I want to thank the Kokomo Tribune, the Perspective, for having this debate tonight, and also Central Middle School for allowing us to use their building. I work at St. Joseph Hospital. My major concern as an individual has always been to serve people, concerned about the drug and alcohol issues in the community. We are, working in partnerships in that regard to try to make a safer community, trying to support the police. I also work with those individuals at Trinity St. Joseph, and I'm on the Mayor's Council Advisory Committee for Substance Abuse in the Big Table. And I've gotten some tapes out trying to educate young people about the dangers of the drugs and alcohol with the schools, and also the driving school with Karen Burkhart. Also, it's been a really privilege to be on the council. We've come through a lot of issues, a lot of concerns with the financial situation, and we've had to make tough decisions working together in government with the people. And again, I do want to thank you for coming out tonight to listen to the issues, become informed, and make that decision. As most of you know, my husband had died in December of '09, and I have 3 children, a daughter that's married, and 2 sons. We're all actively involved in the church, and I'm also involved in the jail ministry. I see Kokomo as moving forward. We have some framework now where we were working hard to make sure that we could survive as a city. We see great things that are happening, but we know that we have more challenges. And I also am an advocate for people. Again, my husband was handicapped, but I've always seen a need that we need to stand up for the people. And so the needs that are to be met in the community, as far as with the issues that I've always tried to stand up for what I believe to represent all the people in the community. And I just thank you for being here tonight, and I look forward to serving you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Besser.
Hello. Thank you all for coming tonight. My name is Mike Besser. I would like to thank the Perspective, the Kokomo Tribune, and Kokomo Schools Corporation for hosting this debate. I'm a lifelong resident of Kokomo, Indiana. I've lived in the 5th District for 32 years. My lovely wife and I have been married for 41 years. We have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. I retired from General Motors after 31 years of service. I was fortunate enough to work in many different departments. I started as a line operator out there. I worked as a group leader. I worked as a union committeeman. I also worked as a co-coordinator for 2 joint union management programs, the outsourcing-insourcing program, and an accounting program called activity-based costing. Presently, I'm fortunate enough to be a 4-year member of the Kokomo Planning Commission, serving 2 years as president. I have 4 years on the Kokomo Planning Commission Board of Appeals, and I have 2 years on the Howard County Governmental Coordinating Council. I feel that the opportunity of serving on these boards has given me a great insight on how city government works. I'm running in the 5th District seat because I want to have an active part in watching Kokomo grow and make it a better place to work, raise a family, and live. And I do think one person can make a difference. Thank you.
Tom.
Thank you for this opportunity to be here with you tonight. I am Tom Miklik, and I want to represent the 6th District. I've been married 41 years to my lovely wife, Linda. I have 3 beautiful children and 9 grandchildren, all under the age of 7. So they keep us very busy. I've been very blessed to have a family such as I have. We're members of Main Street United Methodist Church. My experience goes beyond Kokomo. It includes Delphi. I'm retired from Delphi 27 years, where I worked in the advanced engineering department, worked with the purchasing area, and had an opportunity to travel just about all parts of the world with the exception of Africa. So I'm very blessed to be able to bring some of those experiences with me and see other communities. I also am retired military, 30 years as a lieutenant colonel. I've commanded troops. I've spent a lot of time training troops. So from my experience factor from the military, my experience with Delphi, and my experience as a government servant through the school board, where I was on the school corporation, Kokomo Center Schools, for 8 years. I was president. I chaired their finance committee, as I do for the city currently. I chair the finance committee. I also was president of the park board, particularly when we built Kokomo Beach. So I was very proud that we got Kokomo Beach built with Mike Kirchhoff under Jim Trobaugh. So from that point, I think I provided a lot of leadership to the community. I hope to be able to provide more as the finance chairman, a member of the Howard County Coordinating Council, and as a member of the Planning Commission. So I would ask you to consider my qualifications and experience at the polls. Thank you very much.
Jim.
My name's Jim Main Jr. I've lived in Kokomo my entire life. I've been married to my wonderful wife, Joanne, for 26 years. I have 2 daughters, a grandson, and a granddaughter. I am running because of a dedication to a statement I made 4 years ago. I stated to the constituents in the 6th District that I would be back. I lost by 10 votes. I feel they want me to represent them, so I'm back to fulfill that statement. I have attended the City Council meeting for the last 4 years. I've attended the budget hearings for the last 4 years. I've sat in the audience as a citizen and sat in the budget hearings as a citizen. I understand the issues that have been presented to the council, and I understand the concerns that the citizens have brought before the council during those 4 years. I have stepped up to the mic and publicly voiced my opinion or my concerns on issues that have come before the city. I have also spoke to lots of the council members one-on-one, so I understand that ordinances have been brought before them so that I understand what is going on. I feel that with my 4 years of attending, I better understand the policies and procedures, and if I'm elected, I would be able to step in and not have a learning curve. I am a voice for the citizens in the 6th District and of Kokomo. I have never claimed to have all the answers, but I do feel that the citizens of Kokomo and its city employees do have the answers. And I feel that I am the person they can contact if I am elected to voice those opinions to the council and to the administration to help the city to better prosper. I look forward to being their voice.
Mr. Main, we'll start with you since it's down there. If elected, what specific needs in your district do you intend to address? Remember, you have 1 minute, everyone.
Yes.
Keep it tight.
One of the biggest concerns I've heard while out canvassing is the enforcement of the moped ordinances and the concerns that they're having with the youth and their inconsideration of driving laws for the mopeds. I have personally contacted Chief Baker on these concerns. There's also some sidewalks in the 6th District that need some attention. I would like to see those addressed, but the biggest concern they have are the safety of the children and the way they're riding on the mopeds. And like I said, I've addressed those with the chief.
Thank you. Tom.
Along with that, I would like to mention the sanitary storm sewers and the storm drains and the sanitary sewers, and separating those. For parts of the 6th District, that's a major issue. And as I've walked and we've done our campaigning and we've gone out door to door and I've talked to, I don't have any idea how many folks, that's one of the things that keeps coming up. Obviously, mopeds are an issue. I guess that's what you call them these days. But the big thing for the 6th District, I believe, is the storm sewer issue, mopeds, obviously, noise ordinance, and the quality of life issues that go with the West Side Neighborhood Association.
Thank you. Mike Besser.
In the 5th District, we also have a storm drainage problem. People on Lincoln Road has had a rough way to go. They're starting to address that. We need to look at that a little bit better and a little bit faster. I would like to see some type of initiative we've got a shopping center over there that's almost completely vacant. I would like to see some initiatives to bring some new businesses into there and start getting that shopping center booming again. I am happy to say that we do have 2 businesses that the city has just cleaned up. We had 2 businesses that left and just abandoned the business, and they come in and cleaned that up, and that makes it look nice. So that's basically what I want for the 5th District.
Cindy Sanders.
Well, ditto on those things. Certainly, we need to address this storm sewer system, MS4, and maybe we can do some combination with that and address the infrastructure problems that we will be having because, things are getting older. That's true. In the 5th District, especially, as Mike said, the issue with those, the drainage and the water issues there, as well as looking at dealing with the crime issue, the kids, those kinds of things, of course, safety issues with the walkways. But again, I'm focusing, I believe, as we lift up the police officers, as we lift up those people who are trying to protect us and being involved with kids at school through different organizations that I'm supporting, I believe that those are really important. And again, that affects the quality of life. That affects the livability. That affects whether people want to live here, want to stay here, and want to raise a family here. So there's a lot of things, and it's exciting to see where we're at now and where we might be able to go. Thank you.
Tom.
Yes, roads, sidewalks. We have some issues like down on Jefferson Street. We had barricades that are in the road. It's hard to see around them. I think it's a hazard. Kids cross there going to school. I walked to the school the other day just to see the route my kids would take. I usually drive them. But there's limbs hanging out onto the sidewalks. They'd have to walk around. We really need to focus, if we're going to put money into infrastructure, make sure that the sidewalks are clean. Trash is off the sidewalks. People don't pile things up. Somebody's evicted. Somebody moves out. They start piling trash on the sidewalks. Now our kids have to walk in the street to get around the debris. And I would like to see the city really move forward, step up. If they see something, let the department head say, hey, street crew, get out there, get this fixed. We want to keep our kids safe.
Bob.
One of the major concerns in the 2nd District is, with the citizens I've talked to, is the abandoned houses and what's happening to them. We've already had, in my district, a couple meth houses, which people are very concerned of. They're pretty smart about what's going on. I get calls on them all the time about kids being in there, doing these things in there. Work with the engineering department, Steve Barnett, to get them cleaned up, get with the landlord. Majority of the landlords do not live in Kokomo, and they really could care less until they start getting bills, and that's when they were doing. Also, we looked at houses that's been there for 10 years vacant, and looking at starting doing some abandoned in there. The sidewalks has always been an issue. It's a very costly issue. The city would never have anything left in their coffers if we went and tried to do every sidewalk. I know we have the Barrett Law. A lot of people don't like that, or the percentage, but I know the city's done this in the past, and it's a pretty good deal if you can get the majority of your people in your block to do it. But that's probably one of the quickest ways to do it. And any debris, we have to do it. All right, thank you.
Bob, we'll go back with you, go back that way. The Kokomo Common Council for the past 4 years has taken an extremely light hand on the city budget, allowing Mayor Goodnight to set nearly all spending priorities. Do you feel this is appropriate behavior for the physical body of the city, and how will you approach the budget process if reelected?
Well, I think we've looked at the budget, and, it's pretty been chipped down where it is. I'd say that it's pretty solid where we are. I think we're 7% under the budget and probably maybe 8% by the end of the year. And we look at that and scrutinize it, and we get involved in a lot of what the activities going on, what's being bought in that. And, the trolley system, for example, how great a thing that has turned out to be. That was a gold nugget for us to put that money in there to do that, because it's helping citizens now that used to have to go to the village pantries in those places, spend exuberant money and not have any. Now they can take the Walmarts, the Meijers, and those different places and have good sustaining food for them. So I think the administration has done a good job on the budget, keeps us informed. We did knock it down a little bit, but there's not a whole lot of different places you can go.
Speaking of the trolley system, when the funding runs out, I think it was stimulus funds that helped create. What is your position on funding the trolley system in the future?
We're going to have to look at the budget, see what it is, but I think it's a good deal. I think it's the right way to go for the citizens that do not drive. And with our economic development today, it's a nugget for them. And that's one thing we're out there to help them.
Thank you. Budget process.
Yes, I attended all three of the budget meetings. I sit there and watched and seen them scrutinize. It's been cut. It's been cut pretty severely in a few spots. Not to put any departments at risk, but I mean the vehicles are getting older, and as we're aging, that will be a drain on us. But I think that we really do have a decent budget. I did not get all the facts and figures on the budget. To look over it and to see exactly what could possibly have been removed or added. But I will say on the trolley that I do believe the trolley is a good idea. There's people that go to the doctor, go to the grocery store, go to their jobs. Anything that can get a person into a job in Kokomo is a wonderful thing. And if we do lose the funding, I think the city can come up with money in a way out of the rainy day fund or somehow to fund it. It is a necessity for a community. All growing communities have some kind of transportation.
Thank you, Tom. Cindy?
Well, I have to say I'm just thankful that we've gotten to where we are with decreasing revenues, and everybody knows about the circuit breakers and tax caps. We have rising costs in gas and services. That's a major cost that we have. We've, over these past several years, done a lot to reduce costs. We're going to have to continue to do it more, and that has a lot to do with making sure our city is livable, making sure that we are watching the bottom line on everything. We don't want to raise taxes, certainly. We want to make sure we provide the services, do the streets, do the trash, do the snow, protect our citizens, do all these wonderful things that we're talking about. That's what we want to do, and certainly it's not been easy, but I feel like right now, because of the decisions as a council and with the administration, that we're looking at being stable, and we can move forward certainly in continuing to try to make our city unique, make our city more livable. And with the taxes that we have in Indiana, it's a wonderful place for people to locate, and we're seeing that. We have had some successes and some things that didn't work out, but personally, I want to continue to be in that with that challenge, to meet that challenge, that we can continue to call ourselves a city of first. And
thank you, Cindy.
Thank you,
Mike.
The trolley system is on an 80-20 match, so it's going to be rough if the Transportation Act is decreased. They just yesterday give us another extension until, I believe, March of next year, and then they're going to look at it again. But we do an 80-20 match. The building that's out of is already paid for. There's already money set aside in the budget for operating cost. We've already bought 3 trolleys. We use 2 trolleys. We have 1 trolley as a backup. The problem with the trolley system is when the annexation comes in, how we're going to get the people in Indian Heights, or how we get a shuttle bus to come through there. As far as the budget's concerned, I think they've done an outstanding job on the budget. I think a lot of people have to realize that, 70% of your budget goes to the general fund, and like 56% of that goes to fire and police protection. I'm all for fire and police protection. I'm all for their security. That's a large chunk of the budget. Thank you.
Tom.
I'd like to start and talk about the budget. I think everybody's focused on the trolley enough, and I certainly support it. I think that's a very good service that we need to continue. The budget, as finance chairman, the budget is a plan. It's the city's plan for handling the money for the coming year. So for 2012, yes, there was a slight increase in the budget overall, but the plan and the execution of the plan is what we look and measure against for the last 2 or 3 years. This year, it looks like we're going to be 4 to 7% under budget as far as expenditures. So when you talk about the budget, you really have to talk about the expenditures and where that money is going to be spent or where it has been spent. So a plan is the budget. The actual expenditures is what the city has managed and done quite well. If you've looked, Muncie is down to 32-hour work week. Elkhart is having dramatic problems. Gary is in severe shape. Kokomo has not done that because the hard decision had been made by my council members and by the administration. So from a budget point of view, I think Kokomo is in a very good place.
Thanks, Tom. Jim Maine.
Having attended the budget for the last 4 years, the kudos go to the administration. They have brought forth a budget to the council that is very lean. This council has looked at it very hard. It's hard to take away when you bring something to the council that's lean. Also, capital investment. The city 3 years ago, set forth a standard on capital equipment and mileage so that we weren't frivolously purchasing capital equipment. By doing so, they've reduced the number of vehicles they purchase each year. And if I would, I'd like to speak on the trolley system also, that the trolley system, if we lose the funding, we can always look at corporal sponsorship. Right now we have the trolley stop stations that are being purchased by corporate sponsors, so we can always look at that to help fund it.
Thank you. Tom, we'll start the next question with you, and then Jim, and then on to Mike. Howard County recently made the decision to give a property tax credit next year to qualifying residents, returning the money they paid to cover lost revenue from GMCH, which was later recovered. The Howard County Assessor also has done so. And the library and Center Township Trustee also are considering doing the same. Would you support a resolution to return the city's share of this revenue to the taxpayers? Why or why not?
I believe, as residents of the county, the city taxpayers are always going to be involved in the county business, and the county is going to rebate, if you will, that amount. Now, the question becomes, how much is that? And no one knows what that is. It could be $3. I've seen numbers from $3 to $40, and it won't be rebated if you're already in the property tax cap. So very little of that will actually flow back to the individual taxpayers. Is that enough to be significant to the taxpayer individually? I don't believe so. I believe it will do more harm than good, although it looks good on the surface from a political point of view to say, yes, I want to give those taxes back. I would rather see a permanent tax cut than a rebate, a one-time rebate. So I would support a tax cut before I would support a rebate.
Jim Maine.
I think citizens are owed what they deserve, but at the cost of my opponent of $3 to mail every citizen a rebate, I think that money could better be utilized to be put in a shortfall fund in case this would ever happen again, and the citizens wouldn't need to worry about having to pick up the tab if a business decides to default on their taxes or we have to legally attempt to regain those funds. I think it would be best used to put that into a shortfall fund. I don't like that rainy day. A shortfall. That way the citizens have that money there, and that's what it would be used for.
Mike Besser.
You know, when you talk about returning tax money, it sounds good at first, and then you get down to the bolts and nuts on it, like these gentlemen have said. You're not talking very much money. It's going to cost you more money to expedite and disperse that money. I would much rather see the money stay in-house and to reevaluate what the tax rate is and how that got there. Too many times we sit there and we just go and it's there, well, okay, we'll go. You know, if you're collecting too much money, there had to be a reason why you collected too much money. Analyze the tax rate, find out what the tax rate is, and decrease it that way. Thank you.
Cindy?
Well, my understanding is some of that much money in interest. And personally, for safety reasons, I know that they're going to be using some of the money, some money for the sidewalks, and that's a safety issue. So I see that the benefit of sometimes, seeing again, and I agree with what they're saying, but I'm just trying to extend that to show my thinking on it, is that it's going to benefit the whole. It's going to benefit the whole if we are saving people's, safety, the safety issue with the kids, and also saving taxpayers' money on interest. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think that we have to look at the whole, we have to look at the real impact, and I think that those are some decisions that they have looked at. Thank you.
Tom Cleaver. Tom Cleaver.
Tough call because of the fact if you do mail a check back to somebody. But I believe in being a responsible, good citizen. If I'm walking down the street and see you drop a $20 bill on the sidewalk, I'm going to do everything I can to get that $20 bill back to you. Maybe we could do it in the form of a tax credit, and that would save the postage. But I do really believe that this is an issue that will keep rearing up until a decision is made. And so we're going to have to step up to the plate and make a decision and put this one behind us.
So you would be in favor of giving it back to the taxpayer?
Returning the money back to the taxpayer.
Thank you. Bob Cameron?
I truthfully think that the county may have done this to make us in the city look bad. I think that they have their prerogative to do what they want to do with it, and I think as a city, I think we did the right thing for the safety and welfare of our people by putting in that firehouse and saving us $55,000 in interest money to do the right thing, and also taking some of that money to help with the kids on the sidewalks and do the right thing. I might add one more thing when they talked about the shelters putting up that as Jim McNane said. The city and the schools are going to work to try to put those shelters close to where the kids are going to be standing waiting on the bus along with the trolley. So I think that's a great thing. But I think they have the right to do what they want to do with it, and I think we did the right thing as a council and the administration where to put the money.
Okay. Cindy, we'll start with you with the next question. Annexation on the east and west sides of the city appear to be a reality beginning in February. Do you support the annexation effort? And once these areas are absorbed into the city, how will the city handle requests for service?
Certainly, as a council, we're as a body, we make decisions together, and the decision was made for the annexation. I think everyone knows my viewpoint, my concerns about the meeting those needs to other citizens and spreading ourselves too thin. But certainly, if the question is, am I going to, promote what's going to need to be done? Certainly, and it's going to be difficult. I mean, we are going to have to deal with infrastructure issues in the city, as well as providing services to the annexed areas. So, did I answer your question adequately?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mike?
As far as annexations go, Cindy, I'm sorry, I do not really understand where you do stand, because the first two readings you were totally against it, and the last reading you were for it. So to say I understand exactly where you were at, I do not understand. Big problem on annexation is going to be taking care of the police and the fire. The firehouse has already been built. It's going to be out there. That station has a satellite police station, which is really going to be good. It also is going to act as a backup command central. Another thing on the annexation, as I said earlier, the trolleys, it's going to be kind of tough on the trolleys. It's going to be rough getting the people out in Indian Heights. We're going to have to come up with some type of a different shuttle, or to use the third trolley to get them out there. So those are the things we have to do. The city's looked real good about, the people that have septic tanks, to leave them in, grandfathering them in, and those were all good choices.
Send it back to you. You voted no twice and then yes on the final.
Yes. I had to look at all the situations, and I'm really thankful that we do have three opportunities to look at everything. And certainly looking at it again, I can revisit that, and I can agree with Mike that, there's going to be a lot of challenges with that in meeting the needs of the citizens that are in those areas that are being annexed. But nevertheless, as a council, as a body, we've, have approved that, and so as a council member, I'm going to be looking at everything, certainly carefully, as far as meeting our needs in the city and seeing how we're going to provide those things. But I don't think that it would serve any purpose at this point to be a negative or be a hindrance to something that's moving forward, that was voted on by my peers. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom? Annexation.
Annexation. I wasn't a member of the council or privy to all the conversations that went into the decision to annex, so I'm just getting the end result. But I believe the annexation will be good for the city. I believe it probably was the right thing to do. Not having all the facts and knowing just what the general public knows about it, it's a painful exercise for everyone. I believe that it will help the city of Kokomo grow, and I think it will help everyone. Now, as far as the transportation, all the city services, there is a plan. It's been addressed in the budget to start down that road to provide those services to the annexed areas.
Jim?
On the annexation, I don't think we would have it if the administration hadn't planned for it. It's in the budget. I was at a lot of the public meetings. I was at the public meetings at the City Council. I listened to both sides. Annexation is good for the city. Your city is prosper and grows. Kokomo is 12 years behind what time they needed to annex. When Walmart, Cubs, Myers was all expanding, we weren't expanding. We were dormant. We are way behind on where Kokomo should have been. Annexation is good for the community. I think the administration wouldn't have presented it had they not had a plan in place to budget for it. We won't receive the tax dollars until 2013 from the annexed areas, but the city administration has set forth a plan for 2012 with the city budget to take care of those areas.
Down here to the end.
There we go.
Tom?
Annexation is kind of like a double-edged sword. For a city to prosper, it has to annex. I believe it has to annex with caution. We don't want to. We're like a river. We don't want to outgrow our banks. We've got to take everything into consideration. Is the money there? What's the budget call for? And again, it comes down to being a good neighbor. Even though the people are in the county, they are our neighbors. They work in Kokomo, and they're part of the fabric that makes up this community. I was not present for the annexation. I do not know all the ins and outs, wranglings that went on to determine what the boundaries were going to be. But for a community to grow, yes, the city has to grow. We're not going to stay in the same boundaries we were back in the 1890s. The city has grown because the population has grown. That's just a simple fact that cities do need to mature. They need to grow outward.
Bob Cameron?
I was probably the lone one that voted against the annexation all the way through, and my main contention was that forcing these people to destroy their septic systems and end up paying anywhere from $14,000 to $18,000. That was a burden on a lot of people out there. I talked to a lot of people that are on fixed income of $13.75 a month, and how are they going to pay for that? Even under the Barrett law, 10 years pay for it. But now that has been rescinded, I don't have a problem with it. If we'd done that to begin with, I would have been on board. Annexation is not going to be easy from the budget standpoint and also molding in, but I think we do have a plan, as stated earlier. We do have the police force in here that can handle it, and the fire department handle it. And I think in the future we'll end up having another fire station out there. But I think it's a way to go. But from the onset, that was my main contention.
Bob, we'll stay here with you. Howard County government has requested that the city of Kokomo share in the legal expenses incurred to recapture tax revenue and assessed evaluation from Delphi, Chrysler, and GMCH. Would you approve a resolution to share in those expenses? Why or why not?
Well, I don't, we already pay county taxes and city taxes. We're already paying the taxes. I don't think we need to get involved in that. I think we're already doing what we need to do, and it's their job to handle the money and do that any way they can, and I think we're standing pat on where we are today.
Thank you. Tom?
Another double-edged sword. When you look at the county, it is their responsibility to collect the taxes. With that being said, I think it's also everybody's responsibility to pay their fair share. I do not have the numbers, but I would be interested in looking to see what the numbers are, to see what the breakdown is, to make sure that it is definitely equitable. But we are all citizens of Howard County, and we do all pay our Howard County tax, and we also pay our city tax. And, you know, each rate is different depending on where you live, and it would be tough to figure out exactly how to make it equitable, but it's probably doable.
So would you support it or not support it?
I would support.
Thank you. Cindy?
Okay. As we've already discussed, Kokomo is in a fragile situation, and not only are we preparing for the future, but we're also looking at needs that we have with our trucks and things that snow removal and all this infrastructure stuff. And so right now it's very fragile, and to think that it would be better for the citizens to and again, I'm not sure exactly how much that would be. It's not, they've not really talked about it, so I don't have all that information. But I just know that we have to make sure that we're secure in where we're at. I think that we do work in partnerships in some areas, and we're again looking at other things that might cause the city to have to help, with other things in the city. So I am not at this point wanting to give money to the county.
So that's a no, you would not
That's a
support.
no.
Okay. Mike Besser?
I'll give you my answer up front. Absolutely not. The reason is that I pay county taxes, I pay city taxes. I paid my share. Everybody in this room paid their share. They want. It's my opinion. They want the city to pay double, and I just don't think it's fair. It's a county thing. I've already paid my share. I think you've paid your share. I would not be voting for that.
Thank you. Tom?
I do not support it, but I will thank the county and the city administration for the hard work they did, because there was a lot of cooperation went on between the Center Township Assessor, the Howard County Assessor, Martha Lake's office, the city, Mr. Brannon, Randy Morris, the city administration, to be able to work together to get to where we are today and to get that money back from GMCH. So I think it was a collective effort. I don't think it warrants a rebate on the part of the city. Being a city resident and a county resident both, as my colleagues have said, I don't think so.
Thank you. Jim?
No, I wouldn't support it. Why should citizens of Kokomo pay twice? It's the elected officials of the county to collect the taxes, and that is part of what they have to do in a legal manner. So if they have to take legal steps, they were elected to do that job.
Thank you. Jim, we'll stay with you. This year, the Indiana legislature relaxed the law as it pertains to the maximum property tax levy, allowing units of government to reduce levies for a year without risking a permanent cap at the lower level. Would you consider advertising a lower maximum levy to provide relief to taxpayers? Why or why not?
I don't feel that a temporary reduction would be helpful to the community. Maintaining, I guess, would be a better than raising the tax levy if you can maintain it for a 3-year period versus reducing it for 1 year and then having to raise it the next 2. If you could maintain it for a longer period, I think would be better.
Excuse me, did I say temporary?
I thought you did.
I'm sorry, that's a mistake. Would you consider advertising a lower maximum levy to provide relief to taxpayers? Why or why not? Temporary should not have been in there.
A permanent tax levy reduction. If the city budget shows that we can reduce our spending to be able to do it, then yes, I'm all for it, but not at the expense of the safety and security of the citizens.
Tom?
You can't be against mom apple pie and the American way. I'm for reducing the levy if it's feasible, but it's not practical when you look at the property tax caps that have been enacted and you look at what the budget is and what we've done up to this point. I believe that it would serve no purpose to reduce a levy because it's just an advertised levy, as you mentioned. Advertising a levy and advertising a tax rate relative to what you actually collect are two different things. And to advertise it and to exercise it at this moment is not really in the best interest of the citizens of Kokomo. We will come upon that in the years to come, but not at the moment.
Thank you. Mike Besser.
I wholeheartedly agree with Tom. There's the advertised levy and what's actually collected are two different things. Due to the situation we've been in for the last 4 to 5 years, to just jump out there and say we're going to reduce that levy is, I don't think, a very good idea. Once we get more on our feet and get everything stabilized, then that would be something I would be consider looking at.
Cindy?
I totally agree with Tom and Mike. We can always set that maximum levy higher, but we don't have to levy the taxes. We're in a volatile, fragile situation, as we know, with the tax caps and the reduced revenue, and we have to be in a position where if we, in the rising costs of things. So that's what I think is in the best interest of the people right now.
Thank you. Tom Cleaver?
I don't think we should be yo-yoing. Most industry that moved to Kokomo wants to see a vibrant, stable economy. They don't want to see us advertise one rate and then come back, oops, we made a mistake. I think that we need to live within our means. We need to pay close attention to what the amounts are. But right now, I think we need to keep Kokomo strong and moving forward. And I think right now, messing with the rates would probably be, for lack of a better word, maybe unwise.
Thank you. Bob Cameron?
Agree with a lot of stuff going on here, but I think if we start changing things, it's going to be a snowball effect for the services underneath us, and that's something we need to be very aware of. We're having enough trouble right now with the service affecting our schools with Governor Daniels, what he's done, and I don't want to see any more of that happen. I mean, it's impacted our schools. I think we need to stand pat where we are. If we rebound with the plans we got, look at that in the future, but I think we just need to stand pat.
Thank you. Cindy, we'll go to you with the new question. Howard County did not follow the terms of the dispatch service interlocal agreement and did not notify the city of its intent to increase the dispatch budget for 2012. The City Council still has an opportunity to allocate additional dollars to cover the increased cost. How do you feel the Kokomo Common Council should address the funding of the combined city-county dispatch center?
Well, first of all, I think that that information should not be on the front page. I think that the citizen or the elected officials should know and be aware of more of these things initially. It's a problem that we are both dealing with. I mean, we have to have the dispatch services. There was one cost that they said they could do the service for. That's not been met, and it sounds like it's a far-off number, certainly. So as I get more information, as we get more information, at that point, we'll have to look at that and see it, because certainly we have to make sure our citizens are protected. But and again, to speak prematurely, not knowing all the situation, but, if somebody can't do it for a cost, we're looking at ways that we can save money and save taxpayer dollars. That might be something that the city might need to do.
Okay. Would you fund it if it was short? Would you vote to fund it if it was proven that more money was needed? Or would that be a county responsibility?
I think it's a county responsibility, honestly. I mean, they've taken it upon themselves to say that they could provide that service. Again, I want to say that we need to protect the citizens, so I'm sure that unfortunately they didn't come and speak to someone about that so that we could at least come up with some kind of a plan, or they could have a plan. And here we are as taxpayers, as citizens, not knowing what's going to happen now, and that's disheartening.
Thank you. Mike?
Well, I, for one, as a citizen of Howard County and Kokomo, Indiana, was very glad that the Citizens Committee on Consolidation worked hard at doing what they did to consolidate that. I think they did an outstanding job, but anytime you make a new program and you try to make both sides happy, you're going to have some shortfalls where they've been trying to, fill hourly time with overtime and part-time employees. So in my statement would be, yes, they worked hard to do it. I think this is part of a fine-tuning process, and the city should step up and work with getting the increase paid for.
So you'd be willing to?
Yes, support.
Tom?
Tell me a number, and I'll tell you if I support it. The interlocal agreement said June 1st they had to come to the city to tell us what the funds would be for the budget for the coming year. This is October, and as of September, when the county started their budget process, we started our budget process. That was never brought up. The county has said that it's for extra overtime. Overtime is a management issue. I don't know all the particulars, but in theory, I would say at this point, no. Until I know more facts relative to what numbers we're talking about and the justification for it, to come 3 months after June 1st and say, city, cough up more money, from a county side, I have trouble with that. I really am supportive of the county communications and the city communications working together, but you have to be timely, and they weren't.
Thank you. Jim?
I have to agree with Tom. I want to see the numbers. The city puts together a budget that the council reviews, and the administration would have to get those numbers and review them. If the administration feels that supporting the shortfall is improper with what they present, then I would support it. But as of right now, without seeing facts and figures, you can't support something you don't know.
Thank you. Now we need to send it all the way down here. Then we'll go all the way back for the next question. Stand up. Yeah, good.
With the 911, we've got to have it. If for some reason there's a shortfall, we need to see the numbers. We need to know what the plan is, what's the next stage, next action to be. We've got to grab the bull by the horns. We've got to have a 911 system. I don't know what the agreement was, what the split was on the money, but they should have come to us already, and they have not. We need to pick up the phone. We need to call them and say, hey, this is important to the citizens, not only of Kokomo, but of Howard County. Let's get to work on this and figure it out.
Would you be willing to fund it then?
In an emergency situation, I would say fund it till we get it worked out. But we've got to have 911.
All right. Bob.
First of all, when it started and when they got to the point of how much money they needed, there was a lot of questions raised. Is that going to be enough to cover it? Can you handle it all? And, working in budgets at Delphi for years, you look at it, you always have a cushion in there. Evidently, they didn't have a cushion, or they burned through all their overtime money. I think they passed that mark now, and that's what they're looking at now, and they had burnout. I think, being very cautious about safety of our citizens, I think we'll work out an amicable situation with them somehow, because we're not going to let the citizens down. But they fell short of what they're supposed to notify us. We went through the budgets, we went through all this and didn't hear about it. And then some of us get phone calls saying, hey, can you help out? We need to go back and research and see what really happened. It sounded like a mismanagement to me.
So,
at this point in time, I would say no, but I would be open if they can come up with working with our administration and us to get it back upright.
thank you. Now we need to send it all the way down to the other end. Jim, Kokomo's population has generally been stagnant over the past 50 years, fluctuating by no more than 3,000 people over that time. That will change next year with annexation. The membership of the Kokomo Police Department and the Kokomo Fire Department has also remained somewhat steady over that time. Does Kokomo have enough firefighters and police officers to keep the community safe? If so, are there too many? If not, how will you fund additional officers?
There are additional officers are being added through the COPS program for next year, which will affect the areas in the annexation. On the fire department, from what I have seen and the way that the fire stations are positioned, the time to react to a fire call is within the 3-minute range. I think it's adequate, but I think it needs to be a constant study. If for some reason crime would increase, we would need to be looking at adding police officers. But I think as of right now, I think we have adequate police and fire.
Tom.
As chairman of the Finance Committee and chairing those hearings, we did talk about that. I asked both the police chief and the fire chief directly if they would have adequate coverage. Now, a couple of things that have happened. We are bringing firefighters back on through the SAFER grant this year. So the SAFER grant's expired. We've hired them back. And the COPS program, as Jim mentioned, from the police department. And both chiefs, the fire chief and Chief Baker, have assured me that we have the coverage that we need for the annexed areas.
Thank you. Mike?
Again, I think with the firehouse moving south, everything you hear, and you talk to our first responders, that's what they tell us: response time, response time, response time. And I think when we're geographically locating everyone, and I think in the near future I'm going to lose the firehouse next to my house because it's going to get relocated, but they told me that my response time wouldn't be any less for mine. So no, I think we're going to be adequate.
You think we're okay then?
I think we're okay.
Cindy?
Yes, I think we're okay. Again, at the budget hearing, I asked specifically each department head if they felt like they had the adequate, especially with the fire, if they had adequate personnel, adequate equipment, their fire equipment. There's some things in the budget that are addressing those things, and also even one more west of town, a newer one. So yes, I do feel that way. Also, when we were in the with the concern about the ambulance, I looked a lot about just the fire services and the fact that in our city we have such wonderful, the fire codes are awesome. You look at the inspections of the buildings, and those things are just wonderful. So I do feel confident in our fire department providing those services and good, safe times. And our police officers, certainly we are needing to support them, but they do have the adequate what they need. And as far as with the SAFER grants and those kind of things, we're in pretty good shape right now. I feel comfortable with everything right now.
You would hold steady on both departments.
What's that?
You would hold the number to where it's at now.
I think that we always have to look at everything, but at this point, I feel comfortable.
Good. Thank you. Tom Cleaver.
I feel with the new placement of the fire stations, that will help with response time. Also with the improvements of equipment and the highly trained individuals we have in the police and fire department. I think we'll have an issue if the response time drops off. Because face it, if that was your loved one having a problem, you'd want them there ASAP. So for now, I stand pat, but I'd want to look and see what the times are. I want to see how much longer it takes them to respond and to get to a situation.
Thank you. Bob?
At the present time, I think we're adequate until we get through the annexation, and I think we need to leave the window open, because talking to some of the sheriff deputies at Indian Heights seems to be sometimes a volatile area. It takes a lot of their time. And I think we'll need to look at that and ferret that out once we get down the road, but leave the window open in case we need either of the two.
Thank you. We'll stay with you, Bob.
Okay.
If reelected, and I don't know if you do or don't, do you take the city's health insurance, yes or no? And do you support the idea of council members like yourself having paid benefits?
I take the health insurance.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Will you continue to take it? That should have
Yes.
been the question. All right. And do you evidently support that?
Yes, I do.
Very well. Tom, will you take the health insurance, and do you support it for part-time people?
I already have health insurance through my wife's employment. I believe health insurance is a valuable benefit. Kind of odd. I took this task on without even asking what the benefits are or what it pays. So I'm kind of at a disadvantage to knowing exactly what the package would include. But I feel that if a person needs the benefits and they're serving their community, yes, they should have them.
Thank you. Cindy?
I don't take the benefits. I have those through my husband, but certainly if people need those benefits at this point, I would be in favor of that.
Mike?
Well, first of all, I guess I'd like to talk about part-time employees because being on 3 boards, I'm telling you, I put over 32 hours a week driving around town, going to meetings and checking everything else. And the councilmen are here, I guarantee, if you ask them how many hours they put in, when they go do their homework, when they go to their meetings, when they go out and talk to their constituents, they're putting in a lot of hours. I don't need the insurance. I think it ought to be eligible for anyone that is elected.
Thank you. Tom?
I do not take the insurance, and I have insurance other places, but I believe that that is a benefit that is valuable.
Thank you. Jim?
No, I will not be, if elected, using the insurance. But I do feel that this is not a part-time position. You get a call at 9:30 at night, your day's not over. So it's a full-time position, and I think it should be made available to a councilman.
Thank you. Stay there. If elected, what one idea will you bring to the table to improve our community as a Kokomo Common council person? You. Tom. If reelected, what is your number one idea to improve our community as a Kokomo Common council person?
Well, being my first election, I think that's really the critical thing to get elected. But my idea for the council is not for the council, actually. It's for the city. It's for the residents of the city to be able to help instill that pride of community, to build that pride of community between the county and the city so that we will increase the desire to move to Kokomo. If we're going to grow economically, we need to draw people in, and we are working down those roads to be able to do that. Alternative trails, quality of life, good tax rate. You look at what was in the Wall Street Journal today and on State Online in terms of Kokomo has carved a big path for other cities in the state to follow. So from a quality work-life area, I support what's going on, and I would continue to do that.
What would be your number one priority? If you had to pick one, which one would you concentrate on?
Well, you can look at infrastructure, you can look at safety and services, or you can look at amenities. So I can pick out one from any one of those 3, and I don't know that one's any more important than the other 2.
Jim.
Like I said in my opening statements, the citizens of Kokomo and the city employees have an answer to a lot of the city's woes and problems. I would like to see more open town hall availability, more on a monthly basis, where the citizens could come out and speak more one-on-one with council members, say, hey, I have this idea, I have this concern. I think they need to have more input into how our city is ran. And like I said, I think they have a lot of the answers to the problems we have.
Thank you. Mike Besser.
The number one thing that I would look at, and I think it's a very serious problem, we've got a new bypass coming in here. The city and the county has got to work extremely hard and extremely good to get together so that 20 years from now, we don't have a bypass around a bypass and have the mess we have now. We have to work together to make sure that those businesses, those established businesses, are there. We have to make sure that we have transportation routes for them to get to and from. We've got to make the people that are going around the new bypass, we've got to put some signage out there, but we can't overdo it. There's a lot of very delicate questions that have to be asked. We have to maintain the corridor that's there. There's an awful lot of businesses through there, and there's an awful lot of jobs, and we can't afford to lose them.
Thank you. Cindy?
Well, can I respond to that one? I was on the U.S. Corridor Committee planning, and we looked at all those issues, and certainly it was a great opportunity. So when there's a great opportunity, you are really happy that you can be a part of maybe, doing some things so we can just do it that way in the community and make it work for us positively. Because we know that Indianapolis has lots of roads around Indianapolis, and there's lots of businesses there. So I'm happy that we do have US 31 new corridor, and I know that, again, there's people that are on committees that are working hard to see that we have it's a viable thing and a good thing. I think, again, we do need to have focus on our youth. Again, I'm not sure exactly how Jim framed it, but, having more meetings. I've tried to reach out to schools regarding the drug and alcohol problem, the problems that I see in the community because of the associated crime. And certainly if kids are not in school and they drop out, they can't make a livable wage. And we need to focus on, with education, with, helping our youth that way. So that's kind of how I'm trying to do it in my way, but I think if we can do it in a bigger way in the city, I think that would help our livability, would help our quality of life. It would help kids that they would want to stay here. We have institutions, Indiana University, Indiana Wesleyan, Ivy Tech, and so I just think that we need to continue to partner together with everybody in the community so that we can help our youth and grow our community that way. Thank you.
Tom Cleaver.
I'd like to work with the department heads of every department in the city. I think we have a wonderful city, and I think the department heads here do a wonderful, fantastic job. I mean, I really do. I've went around and talked to the different people, and I would like to have a real open, one-on-one relationship between everyone on the council and every department, because I feel that they see things. They can come to us. We can be proactive, not reactive. I want them to come to us and say, hey, we see this as an issue coming down the line. We can do something about it. And since these are the people we put in a position of trust and give them that position of being a department head, that means we should respect what they have to say to us.
So your number one priority would be opening a line of communication?
Opening a line of communication.
Thank you. Bob Cannon.
I think one of the main things that I think I'd like to work on is building a better relationship with the county. I mean, we're not going to get any better. They're not going to get any better unless we work as a team. There's got to be a trust developed in there. And I said earlier, that shot about putting it in the papers, about giving back that money, I personally feel, and how the other sitting council members feel, that was a shot at us. And I took it that way. But I think we need to build a trust with them, and we can get a lot of things done. Example, our street department and shovel the snow and all that. There could be a great working relationship right there if they do the whole road there. We go back and forth. A lot of people don't know that, but people see a truck come there and stop at their house, say, why didn't they come all the way down? These are things there we got to work together on, and I think we can do it. Might have a hindrance on this giving back this rebate and that, but I think we need to swallow that pill and work together.
Okay, very good. At the mayor's debate, a lot was made out of bump outs and flowers. You have an opinion on those?
Well, I understand about the American Disability Act to have those going out there. I think that's great. I think they was maybe a little bit overdone on the size of the bump outs. I mean, I get a lot of calls from people that in my area that turn that corner and have blowout or something like that. So we got them right now. We can't do anything about it. They deteriorate, but it does enhance the downtown. I mean, I'll say that it does enhance it.
Very well. Tom?
With the wheelchair ramps, they did have to come so far out of the street to allow an adequate, if your ramp's too sharp, you try to, if anybody's ever been in a wheelchair, if you got too much of an inclined plane, it is a hazard. So it does make downtown look attractive, and, a lot of people are against them, but they're there now. We're not going to dig them up and throw them away. So let's just bite the bullet and move on past this issue.
By biting the bullet, you would say does that mean you disagreed with those?
No, I do not disagree with them. I think they were a necessity due to the fact for safety purpose of the ramp being at that particular angle, because if the bump out was shorter, the area of the ramp would be at a greater incline, which would be a safety issue, which would be a liability for the city.
Okay. Cindy?
I like it. I think it's functional. I think that the downtown is a much more pleasant place to come to because of a lot of different things. So, and certainly with the safety issues. So I'm for it. I like it.
Mike?
Here's a classic example. We have a lot of people that want to talk about infrastructure. Okay, right here's infrastructure. We sat there and we improved the sewers. When the sewers was started, now we've improved the sewers. Now we've changed that curb. Now we've got to put a disabled ramp in there, and the only way to do it is to do the bump out. I personally think downtown Kokomo looks fabulous. I think the bump outs look good. I think the flowers look good. I think the stop signs look good. I enjoy people coming to Kokomo and saying, man, your downtown looks great.
Tom.
Amen. And I agree with Mike. I believe that it has been a real attribute, and the West Side Neighborhood Association is growing in identity also out in my district, and I fully support that. If you haven't noticed, there are signs or stones up at the entrance, the 4 entrances out to the West Side neighborhood. I have some experience traveling to Evansville quite a bit, and I've seen this done in Evansville and their community, and a sense of community is important. I think the infrastructure improvements have built that downtown, and I think it is helping on the west side build a sense of community in their district, in my district. So, thank you.
I didn't have an opinion on the bump outs. I had a concern, and city street employees alleviated those concerns this last winter. I thought it would be a detriment to being able to plow our downtown streets, but the employees from the street department managed to do it quite well. So I feel that it's a nice asset to the community. I do like to say the flowers look nice, and two-way streets is a great improvement.
Look at this as your closing statement, if you would. Give the voters one reason to go out and vote for you on November 8th. In 1 minute, please.
I would ask the voters to come out and vote for me. 4 years ago when I ran and lost by 10 votes, I told you I would be back. I've never stopped the dedication of attending the city council and the meetings so that I am informed of everything that has come before them. I feel that my dedication is not going to linger any. It'll just grow the more I'm involved. I want to ask that they come out and vote.
Thank you. Tom?
I'm a graduate of the Command and General Staff College. I have an MBA. I have 27 years at Delphi. I have 30 years in the military, retired. I've served on the school board for 8 years and been president of the school board and president of the park board. And I think that speaks for itself as far as my commitment to the community. I am a stakeholder in making this community the very best it can be. And I think, I know I want to bring my talent to the table so that I can help be a part of the collective wisdom of my colleagues here and of the city administration to help grow Kokomo.
Thank you. Mike?
As I said in my opening statement, I'm very fortunate enough to be on the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals. It's been an awful lot of work. It takes an awful lot of homework and an awful lot of time and an awful lot of dedication and an awful lot of hard decisions. I have found out being on them boards that I can sit in front of people, listen to the information that comes in, and make an honest decision and make one that's one for the better of all of Kokomo. If elected, that's what I'll do as a city councilman. Thank you.
Cindy?
I feel very fortunate, again, to be running again, and I'm just for the people. I do want to listen to the concerns and look at every situation, every area, every aspect. I also am thankful that I do work at Trinity because I have an inside with the youth, with the things that have to do with drug abuse. I also have worked with insurance and feel that my servant, I guess, serving in not just elected positions, but as a mother, being involved in organizations, those kinds of things. And I just feel like that I want the best for this community. I want my kids to stay here. I want my grandkids to stay here. I love this community, and I want it to, I know it can't be the same, but I want it to become more of what I think we all have the same vision. We have many voices, but we have one vision, and it's to be better, and it's to meet the challenges for the future.
Thank you. Tom Cleaver?
Summing up, I'm a hard worker. I own a roofing business. If anybody's ever put on a roof, they understand that's hard work. So I don't quit. I have courage. I'm the type of individual that can disagree on one subject and agree on another. I do not draw lines. I do not draw opinions on people. I take each issue as it comes down the line, and I will vote for the citizens of Kokomo. End of story.
Many things, I'll continue to be a good steward of the citizens' tax dollars, and I'll continue to fight whatever I think is right out there as far as the safety and welfare of this community, such as getting the synthetic marathon out. We're getting ready to finish up on the dog ordinance, which I think has long been overgone working with the county. And I think I'll just continue doing what I've done.
Thank you. Well, it's time to call this off, but we had 6 very good candidates tonight. In fact, their knowledge of city government, it's too bad all 6 can't serve in some capacity. We'd like to thank everyone for attending, listening, or viewing tonight's debate. We would also like to thank the candidates for their participation. It is important that the voters be able to hear the candidate's position on issues leading up to November 8th. We will be back next week with the remaining candidates for Kokomo Common Council. So join us here at 6 p.m. Thank you very much.